Some of these men would sell you out for a stack of cash. Some of them would sell your entire family into a shipping container and never lose a night of sleep over it. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where every single one of them ranks, from the guy who couldn't be trusted with a getaway car, to the one man in this entire universe that even Trevor Philips would think twice about calling. We're ranking the 7 levels of Grand Theft Auto villains, from the bottom all the way to the very top. Let's get into it. Level 1, Baby Villain.
So, some ballers hanging around a dope spot. So what?
Just watch, homie.
What the fuck?
Every crime story needs someone who breaks first. Not the mastermind, not the boss. Just the guy standing next to you who decides, at the worst possible moment, that loyalty was never really his thing.
I am the real deal, fool. Oh shit. A genius.
That's Ryder. Before San Andreas even begins, Ryder is already a member of the Grove Street families. Already someone CJ grew up trusting like a brother. But behind that friendship, Ryder had been quietly working with corrupt CRASH officers, Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski, feeding them information and helping set up the very hit that ends up killing CJ's own mother. He wasn't the one pulling the trigger that day. He didn't have to be. He was the one who made sure the trigger got pulled at all, tipping off a rival gang and a pair of dirty cops about exactly when and where the Johnson family would be vulnerable.
Moms!
Sorry, Issy. I heard a rumor and poked around.
What makes Ryder such a fitting place to start is how small his ambitions actually are once you look past the betrayal itself. He's not trying to build an empire or take over a city. He wants easy money. He wants to avoid getting caught. And he genuinely seems to believe he's clever enough to keep playing both sides indefinitely.
Hey CJ, strap up. It's Grove Street.
There's also a kind of resentment underneath everything Ryder does. A sense that he's been overlooked for years while CJ, Sweet, and Smoke got treated like the real core of the family.
I could drive as well as CJ, man, I'm telling you. Hey, homie, what's up?
And that resentment is exactly what makes him so easy for Tenpenny to manipulate in the first place. Once the truth comes out and Sweet is arrested, Ryder doesn't run to fix any of it or even attempt to explain himself. He doubles down instead, partnering with Big Smoke to help flood Los Santos with crack cocaine through a drug pipeline connected to a Mexican syndicate operating out of San Fierro. For a while, it even works. Ryder gets money, gets status, gets to feel like he's finally the one in control, instead of the one being controlled. It doesn't last.
And here's that snake Ryder. Look at that fool, hanging out with the ballers like they was lifelong pals.
Ryder's entire arc is built on the assumption that nobody will ever piece together what he did. And once CJ figures it out, there's no negotiation, no second chance, no attempt at loyalty repaired.
Hey Ryder, sherm-head asshole, where you think you going?
Can't stop me.
Ryder tries to run, gets cornered on a pier during a deal gone wrong, and is gunned down by the very friend he sold out in the first place.
You sold us out, Ryder. You fucked us all.
I'm a motherfucking genius.
His body left in the water, while the operation he helped build carries on without him.
Man, I got homies I used to run with that turned their back on me over this.
Even before that final confrontation, the cracks in Ryder's character show up constantly if you're paying attention.
Hey man, what you want?
Seeing my homie. What's up with you?
He complains about everything, resents CJ's rising status within the gang, and treats every job like it's beneath him.
I'll write it down in a second. I ain't gonna pencil whip you, fat sucker.
Whether it's stealing a delivery truck or robbing a convenience store for spare cash, none of it is subtle in hindsight. He's a man who felt owed something the world never gave him, and instead of earning it, he decided to take it by selling out the only people who ever actually trusted him. That's really the ceiling for a villain at this level. Ryder is dangerous to the people standing right next to him.
Jill, you always down, homie. Apart from when you ain't around here.
Nigga, fuck you.
Dangerous enough to get someone's mother killed and an entire family torn apart. But the moment you zoom out to the level of an entire city, he barely registers. He was never running anything. He was just close enough to the people who were. Because once you leave someone like Ryder behind, the stakes stop being personal, and they start being about who actually controls the streets. And the next name on this list is proof of exactly how far that kind of betrayal can actually take you. Level 2, Street Villain.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck the whole world.
What happened to you, man?
Man, what the fuck do you care? I guess we better do this shit then.
This next tier isn't about betrayal anymore. It's about what you build once the betraying is already done. And nobody in the series built faster or bigger from a single act of disloyalty than Big Smoke. When San Andreas opens, Smoke is just another member of Grove Street.
CJ. Oh my dog, what's up?
Someone CJ has known his entire life, someone who talks slow and eats like it's a competitive sport.
2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, large soul.
But underneath that easygoing exterior, Smoke had already been working both sides for a while.
What was that all about, baby?
You tell me.
Feeding information to Officer Tenpenny and quietly setting the pieces in motion
Those nosy motherfuckers won't leave me alone. Think I'm Mr. Big or something.
that would eventually tear his own gang apart. He's the one who convinces Ryder to go along with it. He's the one standing next to Tenpenny in the garage with the green Saber, the car used in the drive-by that kills CJ's mother, even if the shooters were actually aiming for Sweet.
Shit, Smoke? Crash making you sell us out?
What's chilling in hindsight is how normal Smoke acts throughout all of it, showing up at the funeral, staying close to the family, letting CJ lean on him for support, while already knowing exactly what he'd helped set in motion. Once Sweet gets arrested and Grove Street collapses under the weight of that betrayal,
Can't believe that nigga Smoke turned on me.
Smoke does exactly what he's told. He learned that lesson a long time ago.
Man.
Smoke doesn't waste any time turning the chaos into opportunity. He builds a crack cocaine empire that stretches across Los Santos, complete with his own fortified compound, protection from corrupt police who look the other way, and a supply line running through a Mexican drug syndicate and Russian arms dealers who keep his operation armed and stocked. By the time CJ finally catches up with him years later, Smoke isn't a street kid pretending to be tough anymore. He's sitting behind bulletproof glass, surrounded by armed guards, effectively running Los Santos's entire drug trade from the inside like a legitimate business, with his own crew referring to him as the one man in the city who can guarantee product, protection, and payment all at once.
I got caught up in the money, the power. I don't give a shit. Oh, fuck, man.
Why you just didn't quit, man? We was like family, homie.
I had no choice. I had to do it.
What makes Smoke land at this level instead of higher is exactly what makes him so memorable in the first place, the personal cost of it all. This is someone who was supposed to be family in every sense that mattered on Grove Street, and he turns that closeness into leverage the entire time.
I'll take you to see him. Get ourselves strapped up. Come on, man.
Nigga, shake him up again.
Using CJ's own history and trust against him, right up until the moment CJ finally puts a stop to it.
When I'm gone, everyone gonna remember my name. Big Smoke. Oh.
His empire is real, his body count is real, but it's still built on a foundation of personal relationships he exploited, rather than genuine institutional power. And that's exactly the kind of foundation that collapses the second the right person decides to walk through the front door. That confrontation is also one of the most quietly devastating moments in the entire series.
Look at you. You got the whole world. I ain't got no regrets, man.
Because Smoke never really tries to justify himself once he's cornered. He doesn't claim he was forced into it, or that he had no other choice. He simply accepts that the game he was playing finally caught up with him, which somehow makes everything he did feel even more calculated in hindsight. Because once you put a badge and a government paycheck behind that same kind of ambition, the rules of the game stop applying to you entirely, and that's where the next name on this list comes in. Level 3, Dirty Villain.
Welcome home, Carl. Glad to be back. You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
There's something uniquely unsettling about a villain who isn't hiding from the law, because he is the law. Frank Tenpenny still might be the most memorable villain in the entire franchise, and it's not close. Tenpenny isn't some outside criminal muscling into Los Santos. He's a senior officer in CRASH, a police unit that's supposed to fight gang violence, and he uses that exact position to manufacture it instead.
Is this undercover training? Oh, no, you must be off duty.
Yeah, whatever. Hush up, man. Mr. Truth here is going to be supplying you with some of the finest.
He's the one who quietly convinces Big Smoke to turn on Grove Street in the first place. He's the one who orchestrates the hit meant for Sweet that ends up killing CJ's mother instead. He blackmails CJ into doing his dirty work for years afterward, using the threat of framing him for the murder of Officer Pendlebury, a killing Tenpenny's own partner actually committed.
Well, that's a good thing we found you and retrieved the murder weapon.
That ain't my gun.
Don't bullshit me, Carl.
Yeah, don't bullshit him, Carl.
He deliberately lets the ballast flood the city with crack cocaine because, unlike Grove Street, they have no problem dealing drugs, which means Tenpenny profits no matter who ends up controlling which corner, while entire neighborhoods get hollowed out underneath him. Along the way, he doesn't just tolerate corruption inside his own unit, he actively cultivates it, pressuring every new officer who joins CRASH to either get in line with his methods or find themselves quietly removed from the picture altogether.
You vato asshole!
What separates Tenpenny from Ryder and Smoke isn't ambition, it's immunity.
Time to go to work, CJ, and earn your freedom. There's a guy holed up across town.
When Tenpenny needs evidence buried, he buries it himself. When he needs a witness silenced, he has the badge, the paperwork, and the internal cover to make sure nobody official ever comes looking. He tells CJ early on that he and his unit could shit on you from such a height, you'll think God himself has crapped on you. And he means every word of it, because he spent years making sure there's no one above him left to answer to. He doesn't chase power the way Smoke does. He already has it, built into the badge on his chest, and he spends the entire game bending an already corrupt system even further to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah. Somehow nobody's caught you yet.
Oh yeah, you should be glad, Carl.
It's worth sitting with just how long this goes on too. Tenpenny doesn't disappear after one bad decision. He strings CJ along for years of missions, using him for arms deals, assassinations, and cover-ups, always dangling Sweet's safety just out of reach, so CJ never has the leverage to walk away first.
Now you stay the fuck away from Smoke and stay the fuck away from us. Otherwise, Sweet's gonna find himself on a baller's block getting in touch with his feminine side.
And even at the very end, watching Los Santos burn in the riots his own corruption helped ignite, Tenpenny's only real concern is grabbing a suitcase of drug money and getting out alive, which tells you everything about what he actually valued the whole time. There's also something particularly cruel in how Tenpenny frames all of it as CJ's own doing. He constantly reminds CJ that everything happening is a direct result of choices CJ supposedly made, when in reality, Tenpenny engineered nearly every single one of those choices from the very beginning. It's manipulation dressed up as inevitability, and it's exactly the kind of trick that only works when the person doing it has enough institutional power to make the lie sound like the official record. But even a corrupt badge only stretches so far, because the next name on this list isn't protected by a government title. He's protected by an entire family, generations deep, with a code of loyalty that makes a single dirty cop look almost small by comparison. Level 4, Family Villain.
That was my money, Tommy! My money! You better not be screwing me, Tommy, because you know I'm not a man to be screwed with!
Wait, Sonny. You have my personal assurance that I'm gonna get you your money back.
This is where things stop feeling like street crime and start feeling like an institution. Sonny Forelli didn't build his power from nothing. He inherited it, and he's willing to burn anyone, including men who used to work for him personally. As the head of the Forelli crime family in Liberty City, Sonny commands an operation with deep roots, political connections, protection rackets, a reputation that stretches back generations before he ever took the title. For years, Tommy Vercetti works directly under him, a loyal soldier who eventually takes the fall and does 15 years in prison rather than turn on the family. 15 years is no small sacrifice, and it's exactly the kind of loyalty Sonny expects as the baseline from everyone beneath him, without ever really questioning whether he'd offer the same in return.
Hey, doing time for the family is no piece of cake, but the family looks after its own, okay?
When Sonny finally sends Tommy down to Vice City to handle a drug deal on the family's behalf, it's meant to be routine business, a way of putting Tommy back to work after his release. Instead, the deal goes wrong. Tommy's associates end up dead, and Tommy is left to rebuild something out of the wreckage almost entirely on his own. What Tommy builds in Vice City turns out to be the problem. Once Sonny realizes his former subordinate has quietly assembled an empire of his own down there, real estate, nightclubs, a printing operation, more money flowing through Vice City than the original deal was ever worth. He doesn't see a success story. He sees a threat and a debt that hasn't been paid.
I trusted you, Tommy, and you disappointed me. But at least someone in your chicken shit organization knows how to do business. Isn't that right, Lance?
Sonny doesn't fly down quietly to negotiate a cut either. He shows up personally with a small army of Forelli men, storming Tommy's own mansion to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his, because that's how business gets settled once you're operating at this level. It doesn't work out for him. What's interesting about Sonny compared to a low-level thug or even a badge-level villain like Tenpenny is how much of his power is inherited rather than earned in the moment. He's not the one who built the Forelli name into something feared across 2 cities. He's the one who inherited that fear and spent his entire arc trying to prove he still deserved it.
Still don't get it, do you? I own you, Tommy. Those 15 years were mine to spend.
That gap between reputation and personal capability ends up being exactly what gets him killed in his own would-be victim's living room. What makes Sonny worth remembering isn't a body count or an especially inventive criminal operation. It's the sheer arrogance of assuming that loyalty built over years of imprisonment and silence could just as easily be erased the moment it became inconvenient. Sonny never actually accounts for the possibility that Tommy might be angrier about the betrayal than afraid of the consequences, and that single miscalculation is what ends his entire family's grip on the city, because holding a family together under that kind of pressure is exactly what gets men like Sonny killed. But there's a level above family loyalty entirely, where you don't answer to any organization at all, because you built your own from the ground up, and you rule your city with almost nobody left to check you. Level 5. City Villain.
Sorry, babe. I'm an ambitious girl. You're just small time.
At this point, we're no longer talking about someone who controls a neighborhood or inherited a family business. We're talking about someone who, for a stretch of time, effectively owns the city she operates in. And nobody in the series embodies that better than Catalina. Introduced in GTA 3 as Claude's partner and lover before she betrays him and leaves him for dead during a bank heist, Catalina's story actually starts even earlier, in San Andreas, where she recruits CJ into a string of increasingly violent robberies across the state.
Where's your car?
Where's yours?
Ladies don't drive themselves, that's what men are.
Gas stations, casinos, armored trucks, all while treating every partner, including CJ himself, as completely disposable the moment they stop being useful.
Damn, man, now what?
Big!
What? What I do now?
Oh, so this is where you've been, eh? This is how you repay my tenderness?
She's not loyal to a family, a gang, or a badge. She's loyal to whatever gets her the most money and the most control, and she's proven, more than once, that she'll shoot the person standing next to her without a flicker of hesitation.
Hey, we got no choice, baby. Yeah.
We always got a choice, you dumb bastard.
What's genuinely unsettling about Catalina is how consistent that trait is across every appearance she makes. She isn't someone who snaps under pressure or makes one bad call in a moment of desperation. Cruelty is simply how she operates by default, treating every relationship, romantic or professional, as a resource to be spent down until it's no longer worth keeping around. What makes Catalina stand out even among the other names on this list is the sheer range of her operation across 2 separate games and 2 separate protagonists. She isn't tied down to one crew or one city block. By the time she resurfaces in Liberty City years later, she's moved from small-time armed robbery into full coordination with the Colombian cartel, orchestrating a bank heist with military-grade precision and treating her own former partner as nothing more than expendable leverage the moment things go wrong. She survives that betrayal, survives the fallout, and continues operating as one of the most feared independent criminals in the entire timeline, answering to cartel contacts and rival crime figures as more of an equal than a subordinate. What separates someone like Catalina from a family man like Sonny is that she isn't hiding from institutions anymore. She's operating comfortably alongside them, sometimes controlling pieces of them outright.
Well, I got news for you. Shooting you will be a pleasure, but dating you was only business.
Police look away when it benefits the right people. Rivals think twice before making a move against her, because her reputation for violence isn't exaggerated. It's documented in bodies. The only real threat to someone at this level isn't the law. It's someone even more ruthless, someone with the resources and the reach to make owning a single city look small by comparison. What ultimately sets Catalina apart from nearly everyone else on this list is how little her power depends on any one man's protection. She isn't propped up by a boss, a badge, or a family name passed down to her. Every ounce of influence she has, she took for herself, discarding partners the moment they stopped being useful and rebuilding her operation from scratch more than once, without ever losing her footing in the underworld. And that's exactly the kind of person waiting at the next level. Because owning a city is one thing, but the level above doesn't need a city at all. He needs the world, and he's already got the connections to reach it. Level 6. Shadow Villain.
Am I supposed to kill you now?
Oh, no, bro. Not me.
Nah,
Oh, yeah.
but that's my boy.
Yeah, but that's my boy. He has betrayed everyone he's ever known.
This is where the scale of the operation stops being about a single city and starts being about entire industries and entire governments bending around what one person wants. And nobody demonstrates that better than Devin Weston. Weston is a billionaire hedge fund manager with his fingers in real estate, tech, and film, and enough political leverage that he can casually reference having the president's ear, and can end a senior FIB agent's career with a single phone call to his superiors.
Weston owns a piece of Merriweather. Right, 11%. Pretty good for a pseudo-liberal owning a private army.
Which is exactly what he does to Steve Haynes. Once Haynes stops being useful to him, he can just as easily get Michael's entire family targeted for assassination the moment Michael refuses to keep working for him.
Such a pleasure working with you. You see, I was here, unlike your wife. Seems to be stuck at home.
Weston never has to fire a gun to be terrifying. He operates with lawyers, federal contacts, and hired killers he never has to meet personally, because that's what real, untouchable power actually looks like. He can have people erased from existence and simply move on to his next acquisition, because for men like Weston, human lives are just another line item in a much bigger portfolio.
You have got to wake up to what's real in this situation, bro. Take me, right? I am opportunity, I'm security, I'm fast cars, blow jobs, I got the world on a plate.
Even his motivations feel disproportionate to the danger he creates. This isn't a man protecting a drug empire or a trafficking operation. This is a man protecting his ego and a movie's box office returns, and he's fully willing to have an entire family killed over it. The scariest part of Weston's character is how casually he treats every single decision. There's no dramatic confrontation, no moment where he raises his voice or shows his hand. He talks about ruining a family's life in the exact same even, business-like tone he'd use to talk about a stock position.
Hey, what a movie, huh? Meltdown. Congratulations, Mikey. We did it. Hey, let's get a picture, huh?
Which is exactly why Michael spends so much of the story unable to find any real leverage against him. You can't threaten a man who has already outsourced every risk to somebody else, insulated himself behind layers of legal protection, and made sure his own name never actually appears on anything that could put him in a courtroom. What defines this tier is reach without exposure. Weston isn't standing on a street corner or sitting behind a desk with his name on the door of some visible criminal operation. His power moves through shell companies, political donations, and legitimate-looking business fronts, which means law enforcement can't even locate the actual threat until it's already too late, if they ever manage to at all. He doesn't need muscle standing next to him, because the moment he decides someone is a problem, that problem tends to solve itself through channels nobody can trace back to him directly. It's also worth noting how Weston treats every relationship as purely transactional.
Devin, hey look, I'm sorry.
My legal counsel.
It was an accident. I had nothing to do with it.
Sure, yeah. Hey, lawyers come and go.
He isn't loyal to Michael, Franklin, or anyone else he works with throughout the story. The instant they stop being useful to his goals, he pivots immediately to eliminating them as a loose end, without any hesitation or second thoughts about the years of work they'd already put in together. That coldness, paired with resources that dwarf almost everyone else on this list, is exactly what makes him this dangerous. But even above a man who can erase people with a phone call, there's one figure in this entire universe who takes it a step further. Someone whose entire empire isn't built on ambition or greed at all, but on something far colder, trafficking human lives across an entire continent as a business model, and treating the people who cross him the exact same way. Level 7, Final Boss Villain.
I didn't rob you.
Really?
We were busted a mile off the coast. I had to swim for my life. I don't know what happened. I nearly drowned.
My heart is bleeding.
I did my best. I didn't fuck up.
At the very top of this list is Ray Bulgarin, and once you actually look at what he's responsible for across GTA 4 and The Ballad of Gay Tony, it's not really close. Bulgarin was born around 1958, and by the time he emigrates to Liberty City as a young man, he's already building the connections that will eventually make him one of the most feared names in the entire underworld. As a boy, he trained in a wrestling academy, where his own coach pushed him toward performance-enhancing drugs, and that early exposure to a world where winning justified almost anything seems to have shaped the rest of his life.
You're a big man. Where's your house on Middle Park East? Where's your big sports team, huh?
Shut up, you cunt!
Even his own backstory reads differently from everyone else on this list. While most villains up to this point built their power around a single city or a single institution, Bulgarin's operation was international from the very beginning, moving people and money across the Adriatic Sea long before he ever set foot in America. He's a Russian crime lord who built his empire through one specific, horrifying business: trafficking vulnerable people out of Eastern Europe. This isn't a side operation or one bad deal gone wrong. It's the entire foundation of his wealth and power, and it's the reason he was arrested and deported from Liberty City once already, only to rebuild everything and come back stronger than before. Niko Bellic himself worked for Bulgarin's organization years before the events of GTA 4 even begin, smuggling people across the water on his behalf as part of a crew that had no idea just how far Bulgarin was willing to go to protect his profits. When one of those ships sinks and Niko is forced to abandon it to survive, Bulgarin doesn't see a tragedy. He sees a betrayal, and he spends years hunting Niko across 2 continents because of it. Years that eventually bring Bulgarin all the way to Liberty City, where he reconnects with his old friend Dmitry Raskolov and immediately tries to have Niko killed the moment he finds him.
Mr. Bulgarin?
Where's our money?
What makes Bulgarin different from every other name on this list is that he isn't reactive the way the others are. Catalina wants money. Tenpenny wants power inside a system he already controls. Weston wants to protect an investment. Bulgarin wants none of that. He wants to punish someone he decided wronged him years earlier, and he's willing to burn through massive resources, cross international borders, and manipulate multiple crime families just to make it happen. In The Ballad of Gay Tony, that same obsessive cruelty resurfaces when he becomes convinced Luis Lopez and Tony Prince stole a shipment of his diamonds. Bulgarin doesn't negotiate. He lures Luis into what's essentially an execution. And along the way, it's heavily implied that he turns on his own sister, Galina, after she confronts him one too many times about the life he's built.
Ignore her, Luis. The diamonds.
I gotta talk to Tony.
It's also worth pointing out just how long Bulgarin's shadow stretches across the timeline of GTA 4 as a whole. He's the reason Nico fled Europe in the first place, years before the game even starts. He's the reason Nico joined the Merchant Navy, trying to put an ocean between himself and a man he genuinely believed would never stop looking for him. And when Dmitry Raskolov, one of the most powerful men in Liberty City in his own right, wants to hand Nico over as a gesture of goodwill, he doesn't offer him to some rival mob boss or a corrupt official. He offers him to Bulgarin because even among Liberty City's most dangerous men, Bulgarin's name still carries a kind of weight that makes people want him as an ally rather than an enemy. That's really the through line with Bulgarin. Everyone else on this list, even at the very top of the tier below him, still operates with some kind of code. Protect the business, protect the family, protect the investment. Bulgarin's empire is built entirely on treating human beings as product.
I have grenade! You kill me, we all die!
And his personal relationships get treated with almost exactly the same coldness. He doesn't answer to a government, a family structure, or a city's rules, because his operation was never really tied to one place to begin with. He's a man who can be arrested, deported, and stripped of everything, and still rebuild an empire dangerous enough to make Niko Bellic, someone who has personally survived years of war and organized crime, spend an entire game trying to stay out of his reach. Bulgarin's entire existence is proof that some operations are simply too spread out, too well insulated, and too far removed from any single city's reach to ever be fully shut down. And that's the full climb, from a guy who couldn't be trusted with a getaway car, all the way up to a man who turned an entire ocean into his own personal hunting ground. What's wild about laying all 7 of these names side by side is how consistent the pattern actually is across nearly 2 decades of games. The scale changes, the cities change, the faces change, but the story underneath almost never does. Someone with power convinces someone with less of it that loyalty is worth something, right up until it stops being convenient. It's also worth noticing how each level on this list builds directly on the one before it. Ryder's small betrayal creates the opening for Smoke's empire. Smoke's empire only survives because of Tenpenny's protection. Tenpenny's corruption only matters because it exists inside a much bigger system of families, cartels, and international networks stacked on top of each other, all the way up to a man most players never even meet in person until the very end of GTA 4's story. That's really what separates this franchise from a lot of other crime fiction. The villains aren't isolated threats. They're layers of the exact same rotten structure, each one protecting the layer above it in exchange for a smaller piece of the same rotten pie. If you've made it this far, you clearly love this universe as much as we do. So do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you want more deep dives just like this one. Let us know in the comments who you think got ranked too low and who you think doesn't belong on this list at all.